Okay, hello. So I am now joined down here at Confederation Park with
Christine Massey.
Christine Massey. Well, it's nice to meet you, Christine. You don't have to give your last name. I can bleep that out if you like.
That's right. My name is already out there in the public.
Good. Yeah, and you know what? That's important because I think we all need to not be ashamed in any way of standing up against this at this point.
For sure. So, I've actually been quite outspoken during the last year because what happened was, I guess around last spring, I started... I had known already that there were issues with these PCR tests because I had heard about PCR testing over the years, even before this so-called pandemic started. So then I started learning too about this issue that, in fact, various scientists and investigative reporters and doctors were saying that, in fact, a virus had not even been identified. So I started studying, what they were talking about, and then I started looking at the papers, the published scientific papers that had claimed to have identified a new virus in Wuhan and then subsequently in other countries like Australia and Canada and whatnot. And so looking at the methodology that they describe in their papers where they use the word isolation, they claim to have isolated a virus. Anybody can look at these papers and see for themselves that there's actually no scientific method being applied. There's no logic to it. They have not isolated or purified or identified or confirmed in any way, shape, or form the existence of a new virus. So that was quite a revelation. And so I decided I wanted to make sure that these people were telling the truth. And I was sure they were sincere, but I wanted to make sure they weren't missing something, that I wasn't missing something. So I started submitting Freedom of Information requests to Health Canada, Public Health Agency of Canada, National Research Council, to ask if they had any papers that had actually described legit purification of a virus. Because the thing is, if you haven't actually purified it, you can't sequence it, you can't study it scientifically, you can't do any controlled experiments. You have to get it by itself in order to study this thing that they say is a virus. So I started getting responses saying no, they had no records.
Wow.
And so I started sharing them on social media, and then I kept submitting to more and more institutions. So we now have responses from 20 Canadian institutions, and we're talking about, this includes 5 institutions that had claimed to have isolated the supposed virus. And then people in other countries started submitting in their countries. So we now have 53 institutions on record, all having failed to provide or cite any paper, any record of this so-called virus having been isolated, which is also referred to as purified, from any patient sample anywhere on the planet by anyone ever.
Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, so this includes the US CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. It includes the European Center for Disease Control. The New Zealand Ministry of Health, the Australian Department of Health, Public Health Scotland, Public Health Wales, Public Health England, UK Department of Health and Social Care. Like, I could go on and on. There's literally dozens.
Now, can I ask you, Christine?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Can I ask, do you have any type of background in any type of science background at all? I'm just curious.
I have a master's degree in biostatistics. Ironically,
okay, so
let me just say where I got it. So it's from the Dalla Lana School of Public Health at the University of Toronto, and I'm actually planning to burn my degree on film one day soon.
That's hilarious.
Because I'm so disgusted with what's going on at the University of Toronto. They're very much part of this whole scam.
They're part of the whole. I'm sorry to interrupt, but it just seems like the universities seem to be part of this new woke religion that we're moving into.
Totally, yeah. So because I'm an alumni, I get their emails, and it's COVID, and then all these agendas that they're pushing. And University of Toronto was one of the 4 Ontario institutions that had claimed to jointly isolate the so-called virus. So that's one of the papers I've looked at, and I have Freedom of Information responses from all 4 of those institutions. And they have no record of anyone on the planet having purified this virus. So, and I can also say, a lot of people will say, well, what about all these sequences that have been published, the so-called genomes of the virus? Well, again, you can't just go by the headlines or the title of the paper. You have to read the actual methods, and when you read the methods, you find out it's very clear. They do not discover these genomes, they fabricate them. They literally piece them together from zillions of tiny little sequences that they detect, and they don't even detect it from any purified thing. They're literally working with a patient's snot or from a cell culture, which is when they took the patient's sample, mix it with monkey kidney cells and fetal bovine serum and toxic drugs, and they take all the genetic material from that, and they literally detect sequences in there, and then they patch them all together to fit their idea of what this supposed virus the genome should be like, and they base it on earlier genomes, and then you find out that those were all manufactured in the same way, and there was never a genome for any of these so-called coronaviruses. So I just, and if anybody would like to look into it further, I have a website. It's fluoridefreepeel.ca.
Okay, well, sorry, what is that again?
It's fluoridefreepeel.ca. That's a website that I already had, and I started uploading the documents there just because it was my only way to get them online.
Yeah, Fluoride Free Peel.
Fluoride Free Peel. So, and it's FLUO. Sometimes people spell it OU.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So fluoride.
I would have spelled it OU because I didn't know.
People do it all the time. So it's FLUORIDE, Peel, PEEL. I used to live in the region of Peel. So fluoridefreepeel.ca, and if you go there, you can find from the menu, just click where it says COVID-19 FOIs, and you'll find the documents, and then there's another page where you can find a lot of presentations and articles that discuss and go in depth to explain how this is all possible, because we have all these supposed cases and test results, and it's all bullshit, and it's all fabricated, it's all fraud. It's fraudulent science, it's fraudulent tests, and fraudulent diagnoses, and that's all we're dealing with here.
Wow. Well, that's incredible, Christine. I'm looking forward to looking at that website, and I would love to even maybe read a few things from it onto my show, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Please. We put everything in the public domain. We want people to use it. We want people to share it. So, yeah, please.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Christine. It was really nice to meet you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Take care.